Another edition of the new ND Nation Radio.
We're going inside them. We're going outside them. Inside them and outside them. And when we get them on the run once, we're going to keep them on the run.
As number one goes down, Syracuse undefeated no more.
This is now top-notch college hockey.
Everything here at Notre Dame has been done on faith and a commitment to excellence. You are Notre Dame. You are special.
You were to impart some wisdom or some tips on the guys coming in.
I would probably say stay on top of your academics.
North County broke free at the 30, 35, 40. The Rocket is going to do it again.
And you're also going to walk out of here with a degree from the University of Notre Dame. In this lifetime, you don't have to prove nothing to nobody except yourself.
You know, this Play Like a Champion sign, Rocket Ishmael's touched many times. Jerome Bettis has touched many times. You know, the best stadium you play in, I'm going to say Notre Dame.
We're going to get them on the run. We're going to go, 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 go. And we aren't going to stop until we go to that goal line. Don't forget, man, today's the day we're going to win.
Anybody else get chills when they hear that Rocket Ishmael commentary in that intro?
Oh yeah, that's good stuff. I love hearing him talk about that.
Yeah, when I pulled up that clip before I spliced it up, I was like, I got to find a spot for this one right here.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, everybody, welcome to a special 90-minute edition of the new ND Nation Radio, where we talk all things Notre Dame. I'm your host, Tim Daniel. We have a great show today going on. Like we said, special 90 minutes. A lot of awesome things to talk about, two great guests. But first, let me introduce you to my awesome co-host, my great panel as always. We want to go ahead and welcome the man from South Bend, Indiana, weighing in at a great 185 pounds. This is Jason Cripe.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
And in the red corner, from Boise, Idaho, weighing in at a astounding 190 pounds, this is Steve Herring.
Well, first of all, I haven't weighed 190 pounds since I was in about the 6th grade, but I got to say I'm excited, guys. I'm on the only sports show in America that won't be talking about insanity. So let's talk about Irish sports, the stuff that we're interested in.
Absolutely. I thought the little boxing intro was a little fitting for this week because we do have undefeated boxer and Notre Dame graduate Mike Lee joining us at 8 o'clock Eastern. He's going to talk his boxing career, his charity efforts. A great guy, an amazing story. Also joining us at 7:30 today, we're going to be joined by Oscar McBride. Oscar is a member of the 1993 Notre Dame team, a legendary team. A lot of great stories. He's going to tell us about Play Like a Champion Uganda. A lot of great things to talk about. Let's go and get started with some Irish sports, guys. Unfortunately, what we didn't think was going to happen happened this weekend. We did see a little step back for the Notre Dame women's basketball team. They do suffer a loss to West Virginia. It was a close game. It was a 3-point loss. The girls played their hearts out. They played a good game. Unfortunately, they just came up short. But they rebounded this week, get a big win to get right back on track. Jason, what were your thoughts on the week that was Notre Dame women's basketball?
Well, I mean, you don't expect them to win every game. I mean, in a perfect world, yeah, that's great, and you'd love to see a team go undefeated, but there's going to be bumps in the road. But yeah, I think you hit it right on the head. The next game they played, they stepped up and got right back to what they do. Devereaux Peters has been playing outstanding basketball. Skylar Diggins is just racking up the assists, getting the ball to Devereaux, and all the ladies are really playing it well. So a loss to West Virginia is disappointing, but the recovery was good, and I expect to see them continue to roll like they have been.
Yeah, it's definitely a big surprise, and you weren't expecting them to suffer a hiccup down the stretch. But then again, you just want to you look at the glasses half full and say, if they're going to have a hiccup down the stretch, certainly better against West Virginia in the early February than, possibly against UConn at the end of the year or in the Big East tournament, or hopefully not in the early rounds of the NCAA. So you didn't want to see it happen. It happened, and they definitely rebounded strong. nearly a 20-point win against Providence, which is what we're used to seeing out of this team. So moving forward, I totally think they're going to be okay, but it kind of puts a little damper down the stretch, but hopefully they can pull it out against number 2 UConn and finish as the consensus Big East champion for the regular season. I think that'll, kind of wash that away.
Yeah, I thought that it was, like I said, it was a tough loss, but Steve, you nailed it, you hit the nail on the head. That was the perfect time to lose. Not that losing is a great thing, obviously, but if you want to lose, especially in college basketball, you want to lose now. You want to lose when you don't have everything riding on your back. And it's not like they took too much of a drop, only the 4th in the nation in the polls. I think, we talk about this team each and every week. They're going to be okay, and like Jason said, that Providence game was a proof that they didn't take that loss lightly. They came out there and they showed everybody, not to quote Dennis Green, but they are who we thought they were.
Yeah, it's going to happen. You guys are right. You want it to, if it's going to happen, have it happen now. If you compare that to, let's say the shoe's on the other foot, and that's the men's team, and they take that loss. I think it's a lot more stinging than what this loss is for the ladies. So I think everything's fine. They're going to, obviously with the rebound, and they're going to continue to play good basketball, and they're a tough team, and they're mentally tough, and that's what it takes. So they're going to be fine.
Yeah, this is what happens in the Big East. The Big East for women's basketball, and usually with men's basketball as well, is the best conference in America. So West Virginia's no slouch. They've been playing good. They've been playing good basketball. I believe they're on a 5-game winning streak. They went after the Notre Dame win and beat number 18 Rutgers by 10 points. So it's a good team, and they've been playing good competition all year long. It's something that happens, but, like we keep saying, they got to rebound. They got to finish the season strong, go into the Big East tournament and head in the NCAA tournament strong, and that's when they need to be hot. So right now they lose, and you just move on from this.
And then looking at it coming up, ironically, this is a pretty strange schedule. You're used to, if you're a college basketball person, you know the schedule really well. You're used to seeing a game during the week, then a weekend game. Well, Notre Dame's women's actually won't be playing again until Monday night. They will be in the Yum Center playing the Louisville Cardinals, who is, you can go and track them to one of my awesome, so sarcastic favorite schools of all time. On my wonderful list to go at Southern Cal and the University of Cincinnati, as we all know how I feel about those. Louisville's a pretty good basketball team. They're currently 19-7. They are the number 16 rated team. The Yum Center, I know, is a very tough play to play some basketball, but it's an interesting game. It's a good matchup. I think this should be a good one for Notre Dame.
Yeah, it definitely should. They get back into playing a ranked team, and who can certainly give them some trouble with their speed and their length down the court. But Notre Dame plays really, really good defense. They're all around the ball. There's a lot of pressure there, so it'll be a great test for them on the road. So looking forward to seeing that one. Louisville is they aren't a slouch by any means. Look at their rankings, so that's going to be a game to watch. I see Notre Dame winning that game, but I'm sure that Louisville is going to give them a strong test.
Yeah, like I was mentioning, it's the Big East schedule right now. The Big East has 6 teams in the top 25, and Louisville's been up there all year, and it's just another chance to, try and wash away the taste of that West Virginia game. And they just got to get ready. We're all going to be honest here and say that UConn game, February 27th, up in stores. That's the game everyone's going to be watching as far as the regular season finale. So got to take out Louisville, get that confidence back up. Hopefully they can brush by South Florida and be ready to go in Connecticut.
Yeah, I hope so. This is the time to win. I'm glad to see them doing that. Like I said, they didn't lose too much from this game. It was better for West Virginia than it was worse for Notre Dame, if you ask me.
Yeah, definitely. It's just going to be one of those things where they've got to, they'll keep pumping along and they'll keep grinding it out. It's a long season, and to have a hiccup, like we all said, it's let's have it now and pick ourselves up, dust ourselves off, and continue down the road to the Big East tournament, and obviously try to go deep and win the whole thing in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, you definitely said it's a long season, and once they move forward, they end up in the Elite Eight, the Final Four. This is a team with national championship aspirations. And if they get to that point, they get to they close to their goal, West Virginia's a blip on the radar. We don't even remember this in a couple weeks, hopefully.
Absolutely. Well, guys, before we move on to talk a little basketball, I just want to go and give a quick condolences out. Here at the New ND Nation Radio, we are, we're all sports fans, obviously. We're all contributing to all things Notre Dame, but we do pay attention to all sports. And maybe if you guys have something to say, go ahead. But I want to go and send our condolences to the family of Gary Carter, the late catcher who passed away today from brain cancer. I'm a huge baseball fan, so the unfortunate loss of Gary Carter, one of the best catchers I've ever seen play the game, is a huge loss for the game of baseball. And I would like to send my condolences to Gary Carter's family.
Absolutely. I enjoyed watching him play in the majors, and he was definitely a great catcher, and definitely best wishes and prayers to his family in their time of grieving.
Yeah, as an American League guy, I don't remember him as well as a player, but he's one of those guys that, as he moved on to post-professional career and things of that nature, all you ever heard was great things about him. People loved to play with him. People loved working with him. And definitely a sad day for baseball, and, hopefully send our best out to the family and friends.
Absolutely. I just want to get that out there. And we want to thank Gary for his great memories on the diamond. So, guys, let's go ahead and talk a little bit of Notre Dame men's basketball, where it finally happened. We've been waiting for this week after week after week. They've been beating everybody in their way. Notre Dame basketball finally in the AP poll. They are finally a top 25 team. It's about time, and what a way to keep doing it, man. And they got another great win this last night. Jack Coley ends up being Big East Player of the Week. Awesome day for Notre Dame basketball.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's really been the Jack Cooley show. I mean, just call the guy DD for double-double, because that's what he's doing. I mean, he had 7 this season so far, I think. I don't remember the number, but I want to say it was his 7th or 8th double-double this season. So, and one thing is, you really look at this team. You got to look at their defense. They're first in the Big East, giving up just over 59 points in league play per game. They're the top 3-point defense in the Big East. They're holding the opponents to just above 40% shooting from the field. And actually, in that West Virginia game, Notre Dame gave up 16 first-half points, and that was the fewest ever allowed by Notre Dame against a Big East opponent in first-half play. So, the defense is really playing good. They're moving the ball well. You look at, Atkins, Martin, and Jerry and Grant, they're averaging 37-plus minutes a game. So you've really got your guys in there that I think have finally, you've got that chemistry right out on the floor. So they're doing a heck of a job, and they can just continue to go on like this, and they've got a chance to do a lot of great things. If you asked me in early December, do you think Notre Dame's even going to make the NCAA tourney? I probably would have said no. I probably would have said, are they going to make the NIT? And boy, they sure really have turned things around, and they're playing really good basketball. And it's good for the program. And these guys there's some young stars on this team, and there's a lot of room to grow. And there's some guys coming up that are going to be really good going forward too in the coming season. So you got a really good core of guys out there. You'd probably like your depth off the bench to be a little more active than they are, but you got some young guys, so that's to be expected. But right now they're on a roll, they're playing well, and they don't get rattled easily. So obviously hats off to those guys. They're playing great basketball, and it's been a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, this run is unbelievable in every way possible, even from the diehard fan like Jason who's going to a bunch of games to the experts at ESPN and everywhere else. I mean, this came out of nowhere for the most part if you're watching from the outside in. But if you're watching the team and you're getting a better glimpse of them, they're playing so hard and they're playing so well, and you look at the winning streak. In every game, it's just they find a way to win, and that's what matters now. And they're really just putting teams away the last 2 games and finishing teams off, which they weren't doing before. They were, these clutch wins, pulling these games out, and it's just been so much fun to watch. It's impressive, and you can't go anywhere on TV right now without people talking McBride, Coach of the Year, National Coach of the Year, not just Big East. So it's just interesting, and you're totally right. If you asked us even, mid-January, much less early October or December, where this team would be, if you told us they'd be number 3 in the Big East in the top 25, that seemed unfathomable. But this team is just finding ways to win. They're doing what is necessary to gut it out. So just a great team to watch right now.
Man, has it been fun or what? Just all these wins they're putting together. They're making everything happen. Like Steve said, they've developed that killer instinct, it seems, of late. But before I go on my own analysis, Jason, did you come up with the DD yourself? Just curious.
I did. I actually did, top of my head.
All right. Well, I will go ahead and give you props for that. That was impressive.
Well, I was kind of, I almost got away from it because I almost said double D, but we don't want to go there either. So, yeah, DD.
Yeah, well, nicely done, my friend. Kudos.
Thank you.
Yeah, but, like we said, they've been putting everything together. Saturday versus DePaul was a big win. They've been on the Purcell Pavilion the past 2 games getting some wins. This week coming up, they go on the 18th, they go to Villanova, which, if anyone knows anything about Big East basketball, say what you want about Villanova, that being the team of old or not, that's a tough place to play basketball. Hell, anything in Philly is a tough place to play.
Yeah, Nova's not a cakewalk. Don't overlook Villanova. They will give you a run. They are a physical team. They've got some skilled guys out on the floor. I think we're beyond the trap game. I think if there was a trap game, it's West Virginia. West Virginia, or even DePaul. That could have been considered a trap game, but I think we're past that now with these guys. They're mature and they play tough and they really get after it, and it's nice to see. And like I said, if this defense continues to play the way it does and they're able to ride that burn offense, they're going to be hard to stop. And one thing I noticed was in the past couple of games, teams have tried to get a different change of pace in there on Notre Dame and force them to do things that are probably outside of their comfort zone, and they've adapted well to it. In fact, they've done very well and not let that bother them. So they like to run the ball the way they run the ball and play the game they want to play at their pace. But when they're faced with a situation where it gets changed up on them, that they do really well in adapting to that and not letting it get to them.
Yeah, you look at coming out on the schedule, they've got 5 more games in the Big East play, and 3 of them on the road, and that's going to be tough. At Villanova, and then towards the end of the schedule, you've got at St. John's and at Georgetown, and 2 games in 3 days. So, they have no time to rest, but they are on fire. There's something to be said about the psyche and the confidence of this team at this point. Is if they finish strong, nobody wants to play this team. Nobody in the Big East tournament wants to play this team. Nobody in the NCAA tournament wants to finish in the top 25 in the country and look at the bracket and go, why are we playing Notre Dame in the first round? This is not a team I want to play in the first or the second round. So Notre Dame has done what it's had to do, and now they're getting to a point where they're a team that people are afraid to play, which it's just all the credit goes to McBride on such a great job.
I think maybe, I don't know, let me just hear this out. We're going behind the curtain here on the air. What would you say if we could have any people go against this Notre Dame team? I think we should do a contest when after Selection Sunday. We should do it the new Indy Nation tournament bracket. People that think they can pick against us and see if they can beat us, and we'll give prizes. What do you guys think? You in for that?
Yeah, I actually was going to talk to you about that. I think having a TNNDN some sort of bracketology would do it for hey, we'll do a thing. $5 a bracket. Anybody who gets in, we'll get we'll pull something out of the prize cabinet here at the headquarters. We got a lot of nice stuff. Actually, we got something that we'll talk. We're not going to say it on the air, but we got something that I think a lot of people would really like. We'll do a $5 bracket. Everybody who gets in, all the proceeds go to we'll pick a good charity, and everything will go to that. So yeah, let's work on that. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, make sure whoever's listening, now it's $5 to charity. We're not discussing our brackets and how much we're going to be betting against each other in the March Madness tournament.
Exactly. It's all for a good cause, and it's all a lot of fun. So yeah, we should totally do that. But hey guys, we'll still have about 10 minutes before our guest calls in. Let's go and let everyone know about that the new Indy Nation is going all over the place with this great radio show. As you know, our great co-host Steve's been working really hard after every episode, every Thursday night, putting the episodes together on YouTube for you guys to see, giving you a little bit of video behind the interviews, which is always great. We definitely appreciate everything you do, Steve. But now, guys, if you're on the run, you can't catch the video, you can't get on Blog Talk Radio, you just need to download something real quick, there's no problem with that because we are officially a member of iTunes. You can go on the iTunes store, search the new ND Nation Radio, you can pull it up, you can listen to it there. Also, if you go do that, please, we ask, if you don't mind, take a few seconds of your time, give us a review, give us a rating, get our name out there some more. Thank you guys for all the support. It's ever since being on iTunes since Sunday. All of our downloads have jumped triumphantly, and we thank everyone for your help. But, yeah, like we said, if you have a chance, just go ahead and download us. Subscribe to us. A new episode will download every week after it's available.
Yeah, hey, definitely. And, on that note, I want to take this opportunity to both Tim and Steve, and personally from me and Lynn and Abby and everybody that on staff here at the New ND Nation, what you guys have done for the effort is absolutely phenomenal. I'm pretty creative, but I never thought about doing a radio show, and with the YouTube video now, and Steve, you get us on iTunes. My mom, she subscribes to the show now, and she listened to it the other day while they go to Florida for winter, and she was out walking like she does every day, and had her iPhone on and listened to the show, and she texted me and said that the show was great. You guys are great. She couldn't be prouder of what we're doing, and so hats off to you guys. It's these little things that make the effort, and when we get stuff like this going on, it gets the name out there. And we're not trying to be stars. We're not trying to be we're not some high end NBC type personality, but what we are is the core of what we do is charity work and giving back, and that's some stuff you guys are going to see. And I got to tell you, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes right now. There's a lot of autographed items. There's a lot of stuff from the university that's being donated to our upcoming Play Like a Champion Uganda initiative that we're working on, and there's going to be a huge raffle. So again, I thank you guys for what you're doing, and it's only going to benefit helping people out. So that's good stuff.
Well, I'll go ahead and I'll say thank you, and I appreciate the tip of the cap, and I've been saying this when you guys talk about it. I'm more thankful to you guys. I'm so happy to be on the show. And as far as the video stuff and getting us on iTunes, I mean, that stuff has just been fun for me. And I love Notre Dame athletics, and I love the school, and I love being a part of something more than just watching the game on Saturday or watching basketball in my free time. So it's been a lot of fun. And, we're not trying to be stars, but we're definitely trying to get our name out there and do what we can and spread the good word of Notre Dame and the good works of the people involved with the school. And, it's just been fun. I'm having a great time researching the players and the student-athletes and the alumni. And, what a great excuse to pull up old Notre Dame highlight footage of my favorite teams and players. And, it's been all a great time, and I hope we keep doing this for a while.
Basically what it comes down to, if you ever get to know us, we're just a bunch of geeks that love Notre Dame athletics.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself. I'm just kidding. I'm not that big of a geek. I'm a big guy. Actually, I guess I'm kind of a geek. I'm a big geek. All right, I'll let it slide.
Hey, it's all right. Well, guys, let's go ahead and push next week's episode. We have a huge one. Ladies, back off. Ladies, back off. Give me a chance to say it. We're going to have Mr. Nicholas Sparks, Notre Dame alum, best-selling author, had a bunch of films that made movies. I'm going to pick his brain on how to pick up girls. Don't worry. I'm going to get some good tips and advice in this interview. But Nicholas Sparks will be joining us to talk about his time at Notre Dame, his great time writing books. I'm really looking forward to that interview. If you got to be here, same time, Thursday, 7 o'clock. An awesome interview. Hopefully it's going to bring us a lot of attention. I hope you guys get tune in for it.
Yeah, definitely. Personally speaking, my wife enjoys his work, and the ladies out there, I'm sure you're familiar with. Maybe you don't know this, but the books that he has written that have been made into movies include Dear John and The Notebook, and I've had the pleasure of watching those with my better half, and definitely going to be an honor to talk to him. He's an ND man, and he was on the track and field team, so it's going to be a neat interview, and definitely you're going to have to keep your distance, ladies. We can't have you bum rushing the chat room, and this isn't The View. We're gonna talk to him, but we're gonna keep it some sports too. So be prepared. Yeah,
I know, definitely. I was surprised when I started doing some research about him, so I could talk a little bit more about things he did. I didn't know he'd gone to Notre Dame on a track and field scholarship. He just wasn't on the team. And I know I've been putting it out on Twitter. I mean, this guy's got a record in the Notre Dame athletic book, and that's just it blew my mind. And you want to talk about moving the needle for the ladies. Yeah, I posted that on my Facebook page. I could post about Oscar McBride and Mike Lee and Brady Quinn and Jimmy Clausen and all these other different names of Notre Dame greats, and nobody cares. I mentioned the name Nicholas Sparks in the notebook, and got a response, and people were interested. So I'm excited to talk to him about his time. He was on campus. He was an 88 graduate, so he was there when Lou Holtz was coming up and the great team, and he left right before the national championship. So, I mean, true ND, man, and I'm excited to hear about him and maybe get some tips for writing notes to my lady.
I think if anyone can give those to us, it's going to be this guy. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, definitely going to be a good time. We obviously talked about Nicholas Sparks. We don't want to let the cat out of the bag until everything's confirmed, and we know who's confirmed to be on the show. But just keep in mind that keep it tuned here. Keep watching us on Twitter or Facebook. We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter at TNNDN. Facebook, the New ND Nation. That's where you can go to our website to keep your eyes out. We're going to have a lot of good stuff coming up, and you're really going to be blown away by this Play Like a Champion Uganda initiative that we're starting. So some good stuff coming up. Keep it tuned in. Keep paying attention to what's going on. I think you're going to be really surprised with what's coming up.
Yeah, there are some reasons to be checking out the New ND Nation right now. So if you're a loyal listener or if you have friends who should be loyal listeners, get on the phone, get on the internet, tweet about us, and get our name out there. We're trying to do some great things, and we've got some people that are excited as we are about what we're doing over here. So that's exciting stuff.
For sure. Sorry about getting a little topic, guys. We're really excited about everything coming up. But we got a lot of cool things to talk about still. In a few minutes, we will be joined by Oscar McBride. For those of you who don't know, Oscar is a great Notre Dame alumnus, a member of Play Like a Champion Uganda. He was part of the great 1993 Notre Dame team that did beat Florida State. Yes, he was the tight end for that team. Oh, huge honor to have Oscar on the show in a few minutes. Jason and Steve, if you guys want to have a quick time, talk your thoughts on Oscar, your favorite memories of him. This is the time to have the door open.
I mean, when you think about Notre Dame football, you have to think about Oscar McBride. He was, great at Notre Dame. He did, he's a Notre Dame man, and the stuff he's doing with the university now, and like we've always talked about, it's one of those things where we get these guys on, and they're great, and they, former athletes, but then you see what they're doing after Notre Dame or after their NFL career or what have you has ended. They're still out in the community and they're still doing great things, and that's always something that we look for and we've come to learn to expect from our Notre Dame alums. So it's always great to talk to these guys and see what they're doing.
I mentioned to you guys earlier, the 93 team is probably my favorite team of all time, and he was a starter on the 93 and the 94 team. And I recommend, if you're just about to listen in on iTunes or on the YouTube or whatever at that point, pull up the rosters of those 92 through 94 Notre Dame football teams. The embarrassment of riches on those teams is astounding. I mean, literally almost every starter on offense and defense from those teams went on to play multiple years in the NFL, including Oscar McBride. He spent a couple of years in Arizona and a year with the Kansas City Chiefs. And the names just blow your mind. I can't even, I'm stuttering just talking about it. There was so much talent on that team. And I mentioned, I think on the last week's show, as a kid, I actually had an uncut sheet of the 93 team, uncut sheet of playing cards for baseball card style, hanging above my head as a kid. So this guy was hanging above my head as a kid along with all these other great names. And I can't wait to ask him about what practices and games and stuff like that playing under Lou Holtz was like during that time period.
Well, I'm
so, Oscar, did my co-host make you look good?
Yeah, I'm all set, guys. How you doing?
Good, man. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's our pleasure, man. I know my co-host, Steve, like you said, you heard him talk about how he's a huge fan of yours. So I think I'm going to give Steve the honor to give the first questions with you. So, Steve, it's all yours, buddy.
Oscar, I can't believe I'm talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
I'm honored to be here. I really appreciate it. This is great of you guys to do this.
Well, yeah, we're glad to have you. I'm actually going to start off with some of the sports and Notre Dame athletic-related questions before we talk about Play Like a Champion Uganda down the stretch with Jason. So I was actually just talking about it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about playing at Notre Dame in those early 90s teams, which when you look at the roster, I mean, it was just every single player, it seemed like, went on to play in the pros. There was All-Americans and just 2 and 3 deep of future NFL players. Tell us what the practices were like and the competition for depth chart and starting spots in Notre Dame at the time you were there.
Sure. Well, I can tell you this. Looking back on that, we were pretty special. Just to be in the class with those guys and to play on the same team with so much talent. You know, any guy on our team, you know, who was a second teamer or a third teamer, even some of our walk-ons had turned down D1 scholarships to be a part of that team. And practices were pretty intense. You know, we would always joke that the games were easy because, you know, in all honesty, we were playing against the best person, you know, in the country at his position during practice. So when you're playing against a Bryant Young or Devon McDonald or Demetrius DuBose or Jeff Burris or Tom Carter or, you know, and the list goes on defense, and then, you know, you play against a guy, not taking away from the other teams that we played against, but you play against another guy, the games on Saturday were pretty easy. So, and you could tell by our win-loss record.
Yeah, I mean, I remember that was the famous quote by the quarterback of the 93 team, Kevin McDougal, had come out and said, the games are actually kind of easy. Practices are hard. I'm not going to say the word he used. I think he used a little bit more of an aggressive word. But that was one of my favorite lines as a kid, and I always said that I want to play for the Irish because I want it to be like that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about playing under Coach Holtz? You know, he's got a huge following, and now he's doing ESPN stuff, and he's still out there in the college football world. But tell us what it was like for you playing under Coach Holtz during the 90s. Sure.
Coach Holtz was just a phenomenal coach, and you know, when I say coach, I don't mean just the X's and O's part of it. You know, Coach Holtz was a great life coach, and I think any one of us, it's kind of funny when we get together now and we're all fathers and husbands, and you know, we talk about how, you know, the large majority of us are coaching or involved in athletics in some way, and it's funny that we always say, God, you know, I sound like Coach Holtz. And, you know, when you're 18, 19 years old, you know, Coach Holtz would say something and you kind of look at each other and go, you know, what the heck did he just say? But now that we're, you know, fathers and coaches and leaders in our communities, it's pretty unbelievable to think that we were able to make that transition from what we were taught on the field into our lives. So it was unbelievable. I mean, Coach Holtz was a perfectionist. He didn't settle for excuses, and he was not going to lower the standard. And that's something that was, you know, something that was told to us when we came in as freshmen. My class was probably one of the most heralded classes in Notre Dame history. You know, topped with Bryant Young and Aaron Taylor and Jerome Bettis and Jeff Burris, Aaron Taylor, Lake Dawson, Tim Ruddy. You know, the list goes on and on. But when we came in, those seniors, the Michael Stonebreakers, who was a fifth-year senior, the Todd Lights, the Ricky Waters, you know, those guys looked at us and said, hey, you know, this is Notre Dame. This is how we do things. And if you're going to be a part of us, you're going to do things the way we do them. And, you know, far be it from us to argue with All-Americans. We just, you know, fell in line and we kept the tradition going. Yeah, I know we mentioned it on the show, and I think that a lot of players from that era get really recognized by the 93 team because of the Florida State and the Charlie Ward game. So we'll go ahead and ask, I mean, what is your memories of that game, one of the most epic battles in Notre Dame Stadium history, and definitely the one that I remember most from my childhood? That was I mean, in my football career, the biggest game I'd ever played in. I mean, Monday Night Football was great and coming out of the tunnel and, you know, playing against the Cowboys. But I'll tell you what, that was billed as the game of the century, number one versus number two. You know, it was, you know, Coach Holtz in typical fashion had built Florida State up, and, you know, it was, you know, how are we going to stop all their weapons? You know, they've got Charlie Ward, they've got Derek Brooks, they've got William Floyd, they've got Tiger McMillan, they've got, you know, all these receivers, and how are we going to match up with them because they're so fast? And, you know, but we knew, you know, we had we knew and we believed in each other that was going to be a great game, and it was just unbelievable. I think probably one of the funniest memories for me was that I'm from Florida, and I was USA Today Athlete of the Year for State of Florida when I was coming out of high school in 1990, and I knew a lot of those guys on the team, and I actually hosted Derek Brooks when he came up on his recruiting trip, and one of the things that really stuck out in my mind is that we were sitting there at dinner, and it's me and Jerome, and Jerome had a recruit, and Bryant had a recruit, and Aaron, and we're all sitting there eating, and Derek says, "So what position do you play?" And I said, "Well, I'm a tight end." And at the time, I was maybe 220, 225, and he kind of looked at me and he kind of sized me up and he said, "Well, I'm a strong safety. I would just knock you out," and everybody just kind of looked at me and was like, "Oh," Well, as fate would have it, and I'm sure Steve, you remember the play. Lee Beckton ran a counter play off tackle right off of myself and Todd Norman, and Derek Brooks didn't see me coming, and needless to say, he didn't finish the game that day. So it was a pretty intense game. I think probably the funniest thing was that my mom told me that she was signing autographs at the game, and I said, "You're what?"
Oh man!
And my mom says, "I was signing autographs." I'm like, "Why would you be signing autographs, Mom?" She's like, "Well, I'm your mom." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Whatever you say, it was pretty intense. It was an unbelievable game. Probably that game and the Snow Bowl game at Penn State my junior year are probably the two biggest games I've ever been a part of.
Yeah, and I'll remind Irish fans, I'm sure you remember, that actual Notre Dame-Florida State game was the first on-campus game by the ESPN Game Day crew with Fowler and with Corso, and Herbstreit wasn't there. Did you guys do anything with the ESPN crew when they're on campus that week?
I didn't do anything specifically. I had a couple of interviews because I was a Florida guy, and I'd been battling an ankle injury the whole season, and I was back in the lineup, and they were asking, what it meant, but I didn't get a chance to talk to those guys. I actually got a chance to meet Lee Corso and Fowler later on when I played in the Hula Bowl. Lee Corso was my celebrity coach, so to speak, so I got a chance to meet them later. But it was just an incredible week. That whole week leading up to the game, the energy on campus, we have the number one up on top of Grace. Just the energy was just unbelievable. I think people started arriving and started tailgating on Tuesday. It was just unbelievable. It was a great week.
I remember it. I was, 11 years old growing up in Southern California, and it's such a vivid memory for me. We'll move past that game a little bit, talk about some more stuff with your career. Sure. You came in at tight end, and you mentioned you were one of the big recruits. You were one of the huge, 6'5". You were 250 by the time you were a junior. And you started kind of that lineage of the great tight ends at Notre Dame, and you followed Herb Smith, and then following you was Pete Koplevich, who was awesome, and Jabari Holloway, and then it's really continued into this decade. So you tell us what it's like, watching Notre Dame tight ends. It's really tight end you for the most part, and you were part of the beginnings of that.
Well, I'd like to think that I was a part of that. I'm jealous. They could actually catch the ball. Coach Holtz was of the mindset that a tight end was just a tackle with speed, and if we couldn't block, we couldn't play. Notre Dame was tight end U long before, myself and Irv. There was Derek Brown who came before us, and there was Tony Hunter, Mark Bavaro, Dave Casper. Notre Dame's always had, phenomenal tight ends, and for the most part have been underutilized until Coach Weiss started throwing the ball to the tight end. But yeah, we've had some incredible athletes, some great guys, and happy to say that Irv and I and Derek and I are all really still close. It was a brotherhood, and we knew that it was an honor to play the position. We may not have gotten, the notoriety or, gotten as much ink as everyone else, but we understood, our role, and we understood how important it was to be a tight end at Notre Dame.
Well, I think that if the big fans, we understood what the offense was under Holtz and the way that you guys worked. And, you guys probably had to spend too much time in practice blocking all these All-American outside linebackers and defensive ends and worry about catching the football. But it was such a joy to watch the teams that you played on. Moving past when you graduated, I think I read you didn't come back to campus until almost 16 years later.
Yeah,
after you graduated. Is that true?
That's a true statement. I came back. It was one of those things that Notre Dame was just an unbelievable experience, and I didn't really realize it until I came back. You know, and you're a kid, you're 21, 22 years old, you just can't wait to leave. You know, I was getting ready to embark on my professional career. I was getting married. You know, I was ready to move on. South Bend had seen enough of Oscar. And I didn't really get a chance to come back. I went to Arizona, Kansas City, and my wife and I now live in Southern California. You know, we have 2 kids, and, you know, life just kind of gets away. And then I had the opportunity to come back through Play Like a Champion today, which is who I work with through the university now. And it was like complete nostalgia. I mean, you know, when someone tells you they really don't appreciate or they haven't appreciated Notre Dame until they come back, I'm the poster child for that statement. It was an unbelievable experience. It was just one of those things that you hope that you can you know, recapture some of that feeling that you had when you were there. It was just unbelievable. It was great to come back and kind of walk around campus and to look and see how things had changed and new buildings, and the old bookstore wasn't the bookstore anymore. They had, you know, basically a Barnes & Noble on campus now, and, you know, no more Senior Bar, and they got the Eddy Street Commons, and I'm like, wow, they actually have stuff to do now. You know, it was pretty unbelievable. But I think I speak for all of us, you know, in the 90s who came in as you know, kids, 17, 18 years old, that we all left Notre Dame as men, and you know, that's where we grew up. So it was great to come back.
I mean, yeah, you actually literally just stole my next question. My next question was, when you came back, was it a different feeling, and did it kind of rush you the way that, you know, you didn't realize or appreciate or comprehend what you'd gone through? So you just stole my last question right out of there, and you nailed it.
Well, you know, I apologize, but it's kind of hand in hand. You know, it's one of those things that, you know, you come back and you're sitting there, and you know, I'm looking at campus, and I see the Goog, and the Goog is completely different, and Loftus is a part of the Goog, and you know, the ACC is different, and you know, just everything is so completely different, but it's still the same, and it still has that same feeling. You know, when you're on campus, it's that feeling of being home. And I just took some time just to kind of walk around campus, and it was just really a nostalgic, you know, feeling. And I was like, man, why did that take so long to come back? You know, it's where I grew up. It's home, you know.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on the show, and I know you're here to talk about the Play Like A Champion Uganda Foundation. So,
sure.
Oscar, I can't even tell you, it was just such an honor for me to talk to you and, you know, reminisce on that stuff. So
it's my pleasure.
I appreciate it, and I'm gonna pass you on to Jason, and thank you so much. And I can't wait to hear more about the Play Like A Champion Uganda. So,
absolutely,
take it over, Jason.
Oscar, Jason, with I was about to say Play Like a Champion with the new ND Nation. How are you tonight?
I'm doing well.
Good. Now, you're the Associate Director of Play Like a Champion today.
Correct.
And we've just recently, I'd say in the past, 6 or 8 weeks, Kevin Dugan, of all guys, he contacted us and asked if we would want to come in and talk to him. And my wife and I were local to the area, so we went and met with Kevin. And
isn't he unbelievable?
You know, he absolutely is. And he said the same thing he said to you at one time, that once you know, you can't not know.
That was the most profound statement I'd ever heard in my life. I mean, I credited Kevin for changing my life, man. You know,
it's his passion. It's infectious, and and he's such a nice guy. But I mean, when you sit down with him and he shows you the pictures and he talks to you about it, it gets you. It definitely inspired us, and I'm not sure if you know, but we're going to do a fundraiser for Play Like a Champion today.
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you guys. I mean, that's incredible. But there's so much work to do, and you know, Kevin and I, you know, actually, you know, started over. He was actually doing some work over in Uganda through his foundation, Fields of Growth International, and he came back to speak at our annual conference that we have every year at the end of June. And, I didn't even hear Kevin's entire talk. He spoke for about 20 minutes, and I missed the bulk of it. But when I came in and I sat down in the front row, it was right at that point where he was showing a picture of the kids holding a Play Like a Champion Day. It was a Play Like a Champion Day sign that they had made. It was on a green. It was a piece of plywood that they had painted green, and on the front of it they had painted in white letters, "Play Like a Champion Today," with a little shamrock, a white shamrock. And at that point, Kevin said, once you know, you can't not know. And Jason, I can't explain it. I don't know why that affected me the way it did. But as soon as he was done, I walked up to him and said, "Hey, I'm Oscar. What can I do to get involved?" And, you've met with Kevin, and he just looked at me very calmly and said, "Hey, why don't you come to Uganda?" And, I just looked at him and I said, "Come to Uganda, okay? Well, what does that even mean? I don't even have a passport, dude." And he said, "Wait, don't worry about it. This is what I want you to do. I want you to come to Uganda. I want you to minister to kids, and I want you to teach them American flag football." And I said, "Okay, sure." And that was pretty much the extent of our conversation. I mean, I got a chance to hang out with him throughout the course of the weekend. We talked a little bit. That was June 29th, 2010, and on July 31st, 2010, I was on a plane headed to Entebbe, Uganda. So things happen quickly. Things happen really quickly.
Oh, definitely, and it's an honor to talk about this cause and what Notre Dame is going to do there. And I got to see some pictures of the land that's going to house the sports fields and the whole mission, and then even what's going on with because a lot of people don't maybe not realize that there's a huge HIV/AIDS epidemic there.
Sure.
And it's Kevin was nice enough to give my wife and I one of the mats to Play Like a Champion Today. Mats that the ladies in the village make.
Sure.
And
woven from
bananas.
So yeah.
It's just to have something from there and to realize what's going on there. And Kevin's right now that I know. I can't not know.
Forever. It's with you forever. It's not going to go away. I mean, to think, and I really put things in perspective. I mean, I'm from a really small town in Florida. We didn't have much when I was growing up. It was me and my mom and my grandmom, and I'm from a pretty poor area. Only had 3 stoplights, and being in Uganda, with the dirt roads, and it's kind of reminded me of my country town in Florida. And I had a lot of time to think about how my life had changed just being a part of Notre Dame, and to think of where I've been and the things I've seen and the people I know and things I've accomplished. I mean, that really means nothing when you can go to McDonald's and buy a Happy Meal that may cost you $6, but $6 in Uganda could pay for a kid's tuition. You know what I mean? I mean, those are the things that really make you think, am I really doing everything I can do to help someone else? I mean, that's why we were put here on this earth, is to serve and to help other people. So Kevin's given me that opportunity, working with Dr. Power and Kristen Sheehan and Play Like a Champion Today to work with coaches and athletic administrators around the country. It's just been an incredible journey. I just can't wait. I mean, there's so many great things that are on the horizon. It's just phenomenal, Jason.
Yeah, it truly is, and it's an honor to even talk about it, even if I never get to go. But to see the work that's being done, and we're trying to. We've seen pictures of the Hopeful School there in the village, and they have, that school that we call it a school. I'm sure they call it a school, but we would never allow our kids in this country. That would be unsatisfactory, and to us,
of course,
it's unsatisfactory. I mean, there's no walls, there's no chairs, it's a dirt floor. There's no books, no chalkboard, and it's just not. It's not acceptable, and this is an opportunity to do something about that. So, we're inspired, and meeting with Kevin, and now talking to you and everybody involved in the whole the whole Play Like a Champion Today organization. It's just been a real eye-opening experience, and we encourage everybody to go to playlikeachampion.org and check out what they're doing. Take a look and learn about it, educate yourself, and you won't be disappointed. And you may, I don't know if we can get Kevin to come to your house, anybody listening, but if he did, you would be all in. Have no doubt. This guy is a motivator.
There's no doubt about it. I think what was really the biggest eye opener for me was, as much as we were in the bush in Uganda, and the further you go away from the capital of Entebbe, although Uganda is a British colony, people don't speak English. The native language is Luganda, and we literally had a translator as I was doing a presentation. It was unbelievable. Kevin and I were putting together this program. We're sitting in the bishop's home, and it's the night before they had their big community party, and Kevin had funded this, all the food, and all these kids were coming from different areas, and I think you probably saw some of those pictures, and there was a big festival, and the next day, we're sitting in the bishop's house and looking at this Play Like a Champion stuff, and I said to Kevin, I said, hey, you think, Dr. Power and Kristen would be okay if I borrowed some of this stuff so I can put together like a little PowerPoint? And, Kevin kind of looked at me and said, hey, we're in Uganda. Go for it. So I put together this PowerPoint slide, which was just, this program was just great, based on what it means to be a champion. And that was the meat of what we did when we were there. So I had my laptop. Kevin had a portable projector, and we had the converters, obviously for electricity. We would go into these schools and into their chapels, and we would put the presentation up on the wall of the chapel. And just for these kids to be able to see a laptop and to see a projector and to see PowerPoint and to see cell phones and to take pictures and, to see the videos and to see themselves on the video. I mean, it was just the most amazing thing to them. And then to be able to talk to them about the importance of making good decisions and being leaders in their community and in their homes, and abstinence because of, as you mentioned before, Jason, the epidemic of HIV and AIDS, and treating women with respect, and then taking that message and then translating it onto the field and teaching them, this is American flag football. And I'm sure Kevin told you it was like having, 10 or 11 Rocket Ismails out there, man. I mean, it was like we drop back and we throw it, and they would go get it. It was unbelievable. And once they figured it out, it was just, I couldn't even tell you how incredible of a time that was. I can't wait to get back.
Are you planning on a return trip anytime soon?
Well, we were talking about the Play Like a Champion. We're trying to get back in May. We're actually taking, for the first time, some student athletes from the University of Notre Dame back. We're going to probably take somewhere between 10 and 15 students, and they're actually going to be a part of the work there, helping with the schools and helping with the fields and working with the women in the MAP project, and just so that they can see what it really means to be a student athlete at the University of Notre Dame and to be a person of service and to expand yourself, expand your mind and to experience, Notre Dame is pretty incredible. I mean, just to be a student at Notre Dame and then to be a varsity athlete at the University of Notre Dame is just unbelievable. But then you take that, it transcends into Uganda to humble yourself, to work with, kids who don't have shoes, who walk 5 and 6 miles one way just to get to school, to work with moms who are HIV positive and maybe have AIDS, who are actually, making these mats and trying to earn a living to support their families. It's just an unbelievable experience. So really excited about it. We're trying to get back in May. We're trying to raise as much money as we can. Obviously a trip to Uganda isn't an inexpensive one, but we're trying to raise money in order to do that. Thank you for having me on the show to talk about it. Hopefully some of the listeners will want to help and help us get over there and continue our work, because it's really been, to this point, it's been an unbelievable journey, and it's just now beginning, man. It's just beginning.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and obviously we appreciate your time. It's we've been very blessed to have many former student athletes and some current student athletes on the show, and we're just a few guys in a small group that's trying to do some good stuff. So having you on the show and some of your fellow former student athletes is a blessing to us, and anything we can do to help, and hopefully with this fundraiser we launch, we're going to do some good things for the children and the women and the people of Uganda. So we look forward to, I'm sure we'll meet you, or being local here, I'm sure we'll meet sometime in the future with everything going on, and we look forward to that. So yeah, again, we appreciate you, and anything we can do to help, please, don't hesitate to get a hold of us, and we're here for you.
Absolutely. Really appreciate it, guys. Steve, nice meeting you. Jason, thanks for having me. Look forward to working with you guys in the future.
Yeah, thanks again. Do you want to say one more time the best way to get a hold of the foundation and the ways to donate?
Sure. If you go to playlikeachampion.org, you can just go. There's a tab for you to donate. It talks about our program, our sports ministry program, coaching for character program, just the basics, some basics for Play Like a Champion before I sign off. We believe that coaching is beyond just X's and O's and beyond wins and losses. Our whole concept is that we want to develop good young people through sport. Times are completely different. It's different than when you guys were in high school. It's different than when I was in high school. Everything's really, really tenuous. So we want coaches to understand the added responsibility and opportunity they have to minister these young people. I mean, kids want to play sports. They want to be out there with their friends. They want to compete in practice. They want to compete in the games. They may not want to be in honors English class or they may not want to be in physics, but they want to play football. They want to play soccer and softball and volleyball and baseball and basketball. They want to do those things. But what are the people who are trusted to mentor these young people actually telling them? Are they telling them that it's about winning? Is winning the most important thing? Is winning at all costs the most important thing? Or are they actually giving them some things, teaching them some things through sport that they can use later on in life, just like Coach Holtz did with us? So that's kind of our message of Play Like a Champion. So if you go to playlikeachampion.org, look through our information. As Jason said, educate yourself on what we're doing. There's a donate button if you want to click to donate to the program, to the cause. Obviously, we would love to have you do that. Again, guys, thank you so much for having us, and I look forward to meeting you guys soon.
Thank you, Oscar. Much. It was our honor.
All right, guys. Take care. Appreciate it.
God bless. Good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
Have a good one, Oscar. Well, guys, that was Oscar McBride for joining us on the show. What an awesome guest he was. What did you think of the interview?
Hopefully the listeners out there could hear my excitement. What an honor for me. And he was such an integral part of some of the greatest teams in Notre Dame history. I mean, I'm not talking about the 90s. I'm talking about Notre Dame history. And I mentioned it. I'll mention it again. Go look up those depth charts from those early 90s teams that Oscar McBride was the two-time starter on. They are insanely good. Every player went on to play in the professionals. Multiple guys. I mean, you talk about Bryant Young. That guy's going to be an NFL first ballot Hall of Famer. The entire defensive backfield, the entire offensive line, most of the defensive line and linebackers all went on for multiple years in the pros. That guy played with the best of the best of the best, and he held his own, and it was great having him.
Jason, you back?
Yeah, I am here. I don't know what's going on with that's the second time my phone's dropped, so bear with us. Apparently some minor technical difficulties, but it's all good. We're all here.
Yeah. Well, guys, I know I took a step back there, but I want to say that I thought you guys did a great job with that interview. Steve, you kind of had my golden tape moment. I could tell that this was, your big-time hero. You're talking to him. It was awesome to hear that excitement. You guys touched on a lot of great things. I'm glad, not only to hear about Play Like a Champion, but I thought you both did a great job talking football and just getting all the stories, and I thought it was an awesome interview from the both of you.
Well, I thank you. And, it's, as always, and I've said it after every single interview we've had, that, anybody we talk to, it's always a great interview, and they're always so great to talk to, and so outgoing. And it really is a passion for me and everybody involved. And like we talked a lot about Kevin Dugan. I mean, this guy's a firecracker. I mean, if you ever get the chance to talk to him or meet him, if you're not hooked on Play Like a Champion and the Uganda initiative, you will be after you talk to him. The passion, the desire, the just the stick-to-itiveness of what he's doing. And Kevin, I mean, he's heavily involved in men's lacrosse. Actually played lacrosse for Notre Dame as well. So Kevin's a great guy. Oscar was, obviously great to talk to. You can tell by, his passion. After when I first started talking to him, it was when my first phone call dropped off, and he just ran with it and had a lot to say. So, get behind it. Check out the website, playlikeachampion.org, and and they're a university sponsored foundation or group. So it's definitely something that Notre Dame fans should check out and get involved in.
Yeah, I mean, it was great hearing about the Play Like a Champion Uganda stuff, and once again, we'll recommend everyone out there, playlikeachampion.org, get out, donate, find out more about what Austin McBride and Kevin Dugan are doing with the university, and just a great cause, and you hear it in his voice, he's passionate about it, and he went, and he, it's just kind of overwhelming for him, and he said, I grew up poor, but you go out there and you feel like you're a millionaire when you compare yourselves to what's going on with the kids, so, great.